So here's another video for you guys, and this video is basically all about, well, something that's near and dear to my heart. Well, not really. We're just going to talk about how the Xbox is not doing very well. So without much ado, I'm going to read you an article. This article is on the Hero 7 WordPress blog. This was written by one of their bloggers. I don't know exactly who. It's a WordPress account, so that's good. This was written January 11th, but I'm just doing it now. This guy says, I'm taking this scale-bound cancellation very poorly. It honestly never even crossed my mind that Microsoft would outright shutter the game after 4 years of development. I knew there were development issues and talked about how Kamiya was probably being forced to do things he wasn't comfortable with. But I never thought that the game was going to be canceled. And I bought an Xbox for this game, for crying out loud. I had a lot of faith in Kamiya to deliver, and I knew he could have done it. But Microsoft are such incompetent producers that it's impossible for anything to get made under their supervision. And he shows a little graphic with like 5 games, one of which came out, the other 4 iffy, or it just outright canceled. Scalebound canceled. Phantom Dust Remake canceled. Project Spark canceled. With Crackdown 3 being a big question mark. We don't know if that game's coming to the Xbox One. But Ori and the Blind Forest made it. Yay! A $14, a $15 game, $20 game. You can trust Microsoft to give you budget indie games and not cancel that shit. But anything else, you're SOL. It's incredible to me that Microsoft is constantly announcing games that are never going to see release. For comparison's sake, I can think of one time Nintendo canceled a game following its official announcement, Project Hammer. That game's cancellation has led to hilarious conspiracy theories about Nintendo's handling of NST. There's some truth to those rumors. Nintendo spent the following decade restructuring NST to deal with the issue there, and it's starting to seem like we may see a new wave race for the Switch. Meanwhile, Microsoft, and to a lesser extent Sony, vastly mistreat any of their teams that release underperforming products. It's always amused me to see people try and pretend that Nintendo is the company who mistreats their talent creatively when it's companies like Microsoft who are constantly shutting down projects like this mid-development. Kami and other Platinum Games employees are reportedly taking extended vacations because the project was just so stressful for them. There is no doubt in my mind that this project was going badly from the very beginning. Kamiya was pretty clear about that whenever he let something slip. And this is what I want to talk about today. How Xbox simply cannot treat any talent under them with any degree of respect. This kind of situation, whether from the Lost Odyssey developers, the Halo developers, or how Platinum is practically swept under the rug by the media. Oh, maybe the game wasn't good. The devs weren't making headlines. They were taking too long. These are in quotes. We're already seeing this with Arthur Guys from Polygon. The genius who gave Bayonetta 2 a 7.5 because he hated that she was sexy is now trying to shift the blame onto Platinum for not doing what Microsoft wanted them to do. Here, Mr. Guys, let me outline Kami's output in the last several years. Resident Evil 2, Devil May Cry, Beautiful Joe, Okami, Bayonetta, The Wonderful 101, ... all of which went on to be massive cult classics. There are people online right now clamoring for a real sequel to DMC and Beautiful Joe. Bayonetta was a great enough IP to make it into Smash, and The Wonderful 101 is one of my personal favorite games ever. Are you really going to try and write off this game being canceled as being Platinum's fault? The real problem is clearly Microsoft. By now that we've outlined whose fault it is, just what is the problem anyway? Simply put, Microsoft has no idea what they are doing. And he shows an infographic that shows Microsoft, since they entered the gaming, if you were, industry, and basically for 7 years, from the original Xbox to the Xbox 360, they're losing close to $1 billion a year, year over year over year over year. Yep. I will leave a link in the description field to this graphic. Sony is losing a lot of money when they first launched the PlayStation, PS2. The PS3 is the thing that really hurts them. They weren't making that much money off of the PS1 and the PS2, but you're talking general revenue, but like hundreds of millions of dollars, but um, they're losing billions underneath the PS3. The only year it's really making money is 2011. Um, yeah, 2012, ugh, not a good year, not a good year. Um, and overall, from um, if you look at when they were carrying their money, when they were if you look at the overall graph at the end, you'll see how much money was made or lost. Um, Whatever. This graph really encapsulates why Nintendo is never going to stop making hardware or software, dedicated hardware or software, because I mean, goddamn, they made 32 billion dollars in revenue generated versus just as a video game company versus Sony's $1 billion lost and Microsoft's almost $6.5 billion lost. But you know, Nintendo's fucked. So to get back to the article, I'm really not exaggerating when I say that Microsoft is and always has been dead last in the console race. The amount of cash they have to fork around to remain as competitive as they do is absolutely unbelievable. We've already talked about how Sony had to pay established third-party devs with a strong Nintendo following on Nintendo consoles to make the jump to PlayStation. Microsoft has to do the same thing now and near constantly. Their attempts at getting real support for their system, building their own first-party studios, forming relationships with quality second-party developers, and getting equal support with PlayStation has always ended in disaster. Fable, their answer to Zelda, is no more. Mass Effect, which was originally a 360 exclusive, eventually made the jump to PlayStation as well. Halo, their bread and butter their bread and butter, the franchise that ushered in the age of online play, was outperformed by Splatoon, a Wii U exclusive, and received poor reviews. They even messed up the release of the collection. Microsoft simply does not have the creative energy in its management team. Is everyone who works on the games themselves talentless? No, of course not. Plenty of them have a history of putting out great content under other publishers. But we are and have been for quite some time seeing a pattern when it comes to this sort of thing. Microsoft cannot manage, this is all in capitals, video game development. Every time they try, it ends in disaster. They don't seem to understand that some titles like Scalebound don't need to appeal to their core audience of shooter fans and can just be, you know, creative. Here's another thing I need to point out. People seem to be under the impression that Phil Spencer is this really great guy who's trying to right a sinking ship. No, this is not the case. All Microsoft has changed when it came to their leadership was their PR. They were trying to change people's minds about the Xbox One and get people interested in supporting the company again after the shit they tried to pull at the reveal. Nothing about Spencer's reign at the Xbox seems to indicate that their actual management is changing. Think about all the things Xbox has done in the past 7 years since he took over. Not much of anything, right? And now we have projects that have been in development for years being canceled, including the one game the author bought an Xbox One for. I think people aren't being critical enough of Microsoft. I find it baffling how so many people really did believe they were going to change, in quotes, after the well-deserved backlash toward the Xbox One reveal. They haven't done shit besides switch some people around and start rethinking their PR strategy. Games are not being made. The Xbox is still not particularly attractive platform, and they are pumping out a completely new Xbox that we still know nothing about. And we're supposed to believe they're doing well. Please. Xbox is an irrelevant brand. They are fading fast, and there's no real hope of recovery for them. It's not a matter of if they will spin out the Xbox. It's a matter of how exactly they will do it. If they keep going down this path, they will lose all the goodwill they built up last gen for being the more reasonable alternative to the PS3s until they started breaking away in italics and breaking new ground with online play. They simply aren't delivering that kind of quality anymore, and are unable to grow relationships with people who can. I strongly suspect that the Scorpio, whatever it is, isn't going to do so hot. The "we need more power" in quotations guys who think people flock to the biggest, most powerful hardware on the market have no idea what they're talking about. Like the PS4 Pro, it has no real reason to exist, and people will treat it as just another Xbox model. I think Xbox, and to a slightly lesser extent PlayStation, are desperate to really get people fired up about their products again. This generation has been nothing but a disaster all around so far, unless you're a Nintendo fan, in italics. And they know it, even though they aren't publicly admitting it. Scalebound merely existing made me think that Microsoft was genuinely interested in making a great making a great action game for their platform. But seeing it canceled this way made me realize just how hollow a promise it was from the beginning. So, excuse me. That's our article. That's what I wanted to read to you guys, and it's hard. It's hard. I know you Xbox fans are like, but Microsoft gives a shit about us. No, they don't. Okay. Everything they've been doing thus far screams to me that this is a company who does not give a shit. The people in charge don't give a shit about their consumer base. Right now, the Xbox division, like, it's indefensible for anyone in charge of it to continue it. I think the reason all these projects are getting canceled is because Microsoft knows that they're not going to sell that well, they're not going to make that much money, and they want to put their money into supporting, you know, the PS whatever the fuck, not the PS, the Xbox Scorpio. The Xbox Scorpio isn't going to be that successful a console. The Xbox Scorpio is going to, you'll probably get some diehard Xbox fans buying it, but generally speaking, it'll do okay. Okay, it'll do aight, but not well enough to really do anything. I think the Xbox Scorpio will probably be more of a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to be the bridge between a console and a gaming PC, is what I think it's going to be. And when that happens, that's going to be the end of it. Like, they're going to say, well, you know, the Scorpio it's going to be like a shitty game, shitty mini gaming PC with the Xbox OS on top of it, which is just a modified version of Windows 8 or Windows 10, and that's what you're going to get. That's what's going to be on the system, in my opinion. That's what I think is going to be on the system, and it's sad, but what are you going to do, you know? And so that's what I think the Xbox division is going to get. For you people who are Xbox fans, I don't know what to say. Please stop being like, oh no, Phil Spencer's gonna, no. I've been saying this for years now. When Phil Spencer popped in, I'm like, nah, they're not, no. Looking at what Phil Spencer's been doing, I'm like, they're just trying to get rid of him. But no one believed me. So I wish people would stop pretending like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I do. Yeah, Phil Spencer could give a shit less about the Xbox division as a whole. So get over it and deal with it, because it's not going to get any better. It's over. It's over. Boom. So I leave you with some Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, and I bid you good day.